Mm-hmm. All right, let's slide on out the way. Okay, we're going to start with our emotional regulation. It is 5:30. This deep breathing is just a prelude to allowing the limbic system to understand that we are going to learn and it's okay to learn, and send a notification to the other brain regions that we are about to learn. We are stopping by the hippocampus bank of neurons and talking to the dentate gyrus clerk there to make a daily withdrawal of new neurons. And that starts with deep breathing. You're going to inhale and exhale 3 times on my descending count of 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. 3, 2, 1. I'm rolling back in frame. Good morning. How y'all doing today? All right, let's do a little housekeeping items. Those of you who don't know me or potentially watching on the replay, I am the amazing Dr. Donna Louise Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Welcome to your morning mental workout. Good morning, Jared. Today's topic is the 47th principle of real leadership: can makes the impossible possible. The Dr. Donna quote is, if the little engine can do it, so can you. If the little engine can do it, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Because you got to think that you can. So if you think you can and you create those neural pathways, guess what? Can makes the impossible possible. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say, ensure that you got some liquid gold, baby, sitting next to you. That H2O, water, vasa, agua. Yes. You gotta have some water with you because this is a mental workout. Your brain is 75% water. Good morning, Envy. And it needs hydration. And for the people on the West Coast who just potentially woke up or are within our awake hours, once you sleep, your body's still working, so it's dehydrated. The first thing you need to do is drink water. Then if you decide you want to have some coffee, some tea, potentially one soda, then you could do that. But first, agua. Water first. First, you hydrate, okay? All right, so the question on the table is, what brain regions, or no, neurologically, what makes a person believe that they can't? Anybody want to take I keep saying that. Does anybody want to take an educated guess on what makes a person neurologically believe that it is impossible, that they can't? What happens in the brain, in that gray matter? Envy says the amygdala. The amygdala is always acting like a damn fool. Ain't that something? This little bitty almond. I told y'all, go buy a pack of almonds from the Dollar Tree, dollar store, 99-cent store. Keep them with you. You even get a little sandwich bag and just hold it. Put it everywhere you at. You like, you ain't gonna be the death of me, amygdala. I promise you. You're not gonna take me out. Yes, Envy, you are correct. The amygdala and all of the fear circuits that come with it. So the amygdala is the brain's alarm system. Warning, warning, warning. Everybody has a ring alarm or a variation of that now. A lot of people have it. You walk past and they're like, you are entering, you are being recorded, and across the street and everybody. So everybody is letting you know, alarm, warning, 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 warning. It's happening. And so what happens is the amygdala detects uncertainty or potential failure. It can overactivate and it floods the brain with fear signals. So cortisol is a comet. It's on its way. I think I got to sneeze. Excuse me. One more. they're cutting the hole by our house, and so that grass is kicking up and headed this way. They've been at it for about 15 minutes. Thank you very much, Envy. I appreciate that. And so this makes the person feel that a situation is unsafe or impossible, even when it isn't. Good morning. I find drinking a cup of water before my caffeine has changed me. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is what it's there for. And Dr. Bing is a neurologist. He is the one who suggested that. I am not taking credit for him. And he says he likes coffee too, but it's water first, and then he has his cup of coffee. And so I have my decaf over here because I'm perimenopausal, and that caffeine will have me having hot flashes. I sweat myself right out of this wig. So I switched to decaf over 2 years ago. But it is that amygdala that is notifying you can't, even when you can. So the part that's really interesting is that it makes the person feel. So you feel that the situation is unsafe or impossible, even when it isn't. Water first. That's correct. Room temperature water, I find, helps the body hydrate faster because it does the body doesn't have to take the water and cool it off to process it. That's just me, something I learned from when I was in the military. I'm sure there might be some new research that says otherwise. I don't care if it's hot, if it's cold, if it's room temperature, drink some water. How can we override belief? If I override thinking I don't deserve it, what do I do enough time? Will it reprogram my brain? Yes, it will, Billy. If you stick around long enough, I got a 3-step strategy for you for that process. So yes, you are going to be able to do that. Can makes the impossible possible, and I'm gonna tell you how it's possible. So Envy said, yep, learned that in band. Cold water can make you barf if you're inside and too warm. Laugh out loud. There you go. So room temperature works, especially in the morning. Okay, so Billy, let me just stick around, and you're gonna be able to find out if you stick around. Okay, so I have an agenda. I go through things, and after I cover each section, then I ask what questions do you have at that point. So yes, yep, it's a process. I'm organized as anybody. Well, I'm an educator, so I'm trying to have my lesson plan and everything. Old school teachers used to have lesson plans in the book, and you had a grade book, and you go over there and look and be like, ooh, those are my grades. Okay. Anyway, the point is that the amygdala. So here, first, Billy, you got to understand why it's happening, so that you can undo it. So that's what I'm explaining: is why do people believe that they can't? So it is the amygdala, and it wouldn't matter if you actually could. The amygdala doesn't like change, so it's gonna say, "Ooh, change. Ooh, you about to learn something? No, you can't learn. Ooh, you about to change?" Because the amygdala wants comfort. It wants to regulate. We take comfort choices. We stay in this little comfort cocoon. I call it zip code-itis, and we're gonna stay here, and this is what we're gonna do. So no, we're not gonna do something. They said it's not possible. I was told I told the story before when I was working on my distinguished Toastmaster, sitting down with my mentor at my dining room table. And I said, I'm going to get this DTM in 18 months. And she said, you can't get DTM in 18 months. I said, yes, you can. You got to have 6 months of be an officer at the club level, and then you have to have a year of leadership at the other level. So that's 18 months. And she said, yeah, but you got to do all these speeches. I said, don't worry about that. I got this done. I'm going to get this done in 18 months. Nobody believed that I could get it done in 18 months. I got it done in 18 months, and people used to be like, oh my God, you got your DTM so fast. How'd you do it? Because they say in Toastmasters, the average is 4 to 7 years. I was like, I ain't got time for that. 18 months. That's the fastest you could get it, and I'm going to get it in 18 months. I was told when I was in the Army, because I was in a basic training unit, I was an executive officer. One of the other company commanders told me, Lieutenant Thomas, Captain Lightner, Lieutenant Thomas, you can't get your master's degree right now. You got to wait till after you go to CAS Cube and you're sitting in the staff position. I said, shut the hell up. I ran the numbers. Captain Libby told me I could go back to school. Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm driving past down to Jacksonville State University, and I'm going to get my doggone master's degree. And the problem with that was the post was closing. So I had to finish it. Before they said the fastest it was 2 years, and I knocked it out in 18 months. And so people said you can't get your master's degree until you become, because you're a captain for 7 years, so you got to wait till you're in a staff position. I was a first lieutenant with my master's degree, and I had already had company command. By the time I went to the career captain's course, I had done 2 things that they told me wasn't possible until I was at least 7 years in the Army, and I had done it within less than 4 years of being in the Army. So, yeah, you went and invested it. That's correct. And so what happens is can makes the impossible possible. So neurologically, I say, how is this possible? How is this possible to get this done, because you turn your can't into a can and your how into a now. And when you have a strategy for everything that you do, nobody can stop you. Now, will there be obstacles along the way? Absolutely. When I was working on my doctorate, I had a near-death experience. I almost died. I still finished the program in 4 years instead of 5. Good morning, Lola. So can makes you a bad mofo. So don't listen to the doggone amygdala, because again, the amygdala is just supposed to be telling you and alerting you of threats. That's it. That's it. That's all it's supposed to be doing. The prefrontal cortex over here is where the magic happens. That's where it all takes place. And then in the hippocampus, when the dentate gyrus gives you some new neurons, you can go make anything happen. Any and everything that you set your mind to, literally your brain to, you create the neural pathways and you can get it done. So next is the prefrontal cortex inhibition. So you got the amygdala saying, nah, this ain't possible. It's reminding the hippocampus of every time, because they sit right there in the limbic system together. They're like next door neighbors. Yeah, you can't do this. Remember the last time you tried that? Your dumb ass failed. Remember the last time you tried that? Everybody laughed at you. You was embarrassed and everything else. So it's telling you you can't. And now you got the prefrontal cortex inhibited. And so the prefrontal cortex is responsible for reasoning, planning, and goal setting. Yes, STFU. That's what your amygdala. Exactly, Jared. And when the amygdala is hyperactive, it can suppress the prefrontal cortex. So that's what's happening to you, Billy, if you're still here. You have a hyperactive amygdala. It's right here in the limbic system. It's the size and shape of an almond. It weighs a couple grams. And it's over here, hype man on the stage. Oh, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. And so it is suppressing what the prefrontal cortex does. And the prefrontal cortex job is reasoning, planning, goal setting. The working memory is located there. Inhibition control is bad. I have a friend who talks a lot bad stuff behind people's back, which is why he prevents himself from creating content, because he has a limiting belief and people talk shit on him. I'm not saying I did that, but format is familiar because I heard someone or failed and led to follow through and the door closed. I don't deserve it anymore. So does that control the guilt? Yeah, your left amygdala is causing all this guilt. It's ruminating. So it's literally telling you that what you did was wrong. Okay, so so pay attention, Billy. So the prefrontal cortex right here is weak. And that's why the amygdala is telling it that it can't do its job. And so instead of clear logic, I can try this step by step. The person gets stuck in emotional reasoning of I can't, and you're ruminating, feeling bad, and the other person, and that's why Jared just said my amygdala needs to shut up, because the left amygdala, aligned with the left hemisphere, will keep reminding you that you can't. It will keep telling you when you are in your default mode network, you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't, you don't, no. And then if you do something wrong, it's going to remind you of all the things that you did wrong. And now you're going to say, dang, I messed up once, I can't do it again. I messed my credit up once, I ain't never going to be able to get my credit back. I made that bad business decision, it's never going to happen. I went back to school, I flunked out, I'm never going to be able to get a degree. And that's what keeps happening. And so then not the final, got a couple more. And so I'm thinking of my 3 steps. Yes, that's how you feel, but stick around. You ain't going to have to feel that way no more. So then the anterior cingulate cortex is responsible for error and signaling. And so the ACC detects mistakes and conflict. In your case, Billy, I did something wrong. And then it's oversensitive. So it highlights every possible risk that could take place as a red flag. Oh my goodness, can't talk to them. They remind me of Joe that I talked to 20 years ago. They kind of blinking like him. So this is going to go left. And then this exaggerates your self-doubt and fuels the belief that trying will lead to failure. So you got this brain circuit going on that's saying you're going to fail. You already failed, you're going to fail again. You already failed, you're going to fail again. And then here comes the hippocampus, and it has memory bias. So the hippocampus is where all your memories are stored. It's a memory library. And if a person has past experiences of failure or embarrassment, the hippocampus replays those memories on auto. So the brain predicts that the future will look like the past, reinforcing the I can't belief. So you messed up and this looks like that, so you're going to fail again because you are. And it just, that left amygdala is reminding that hippocampus of every time you fail. And it's like, you failed, you made a mistake, you got embarrassed. I bombed doing stand-up comedy. That didn't stop me from doing stand-up comedy. I'm still telling jokes now, 30 years later. So Jared said, my prefrontal cortex needs to control my amygdala. Yes, that is it. The prefrontal cortex is in charge and the amygdala is not. So think of it this way, Jared. If you see toddlers cutting the food in Target in the toy section and the parents acquiesce and give the children the toy, and now they walking around the store, I got my They are the amygdala, and the parent just weakened their authority. But if you see them in Target and they say, I want a toy, and they lay out on the floor and the parent leaves that basket and carries that child out to the car, then the prefrontal cortex is in control. And so that's what's happening is you keep letting the toddler run the show instead of letting the parent do their job. Billy, I'm gonna get to that. Okay, Billy, just if you could just literally wait to the end, I guarantee you're gonna have all the information that you need. Okay, so but what about this? What about this? So what's happening to you right now, Billy? Listen to me. Listen to me. Look into my eyes. Your amygdala is being hijacked right now. Okay, Billy, it's mad because I'm telling you how to control it. So it wants to keep interrupting me so it can be right, because now it's saying, hold up, you about to listen to wise counsel? Let me make you think she don't know what she's talking about. Let me say, but what about this? But what about that? But what about that? So Billy, what you're going to do is you're going to do 10 significant seconds of silence. And while I'm talking, you're going to inhale and exhale and take 10 deep breaths. You're just going to inhale and exhale and count to 10. And then you just going to go grab some note-taking material and you're going to take some notes. You can't just sit and watch me. This is not going to work. So you are trying to fire and wire new neurons. So after you do them 10 breaths, go gather some note-taking materials and just start taking notes, because you can't take notes and ruminate at the same time. So you just start writing down everything you hear me say so we can get your amygdala from being hijacked, okay? Because your amygdala is trying to hijack my lie. So go breathe, go gather some note-taking materials, and start taking some notes. That's what you could do to calm Amy and Lala. We call them amygdalas Amy and Lala because they are fraternal twins and they act like damn fools. So they over here panicking right now and they're sending messages to the insulin, the ACC, to your prefrontal cortex. Panic, panic, alert, alert. You got cortisol going and now you're creating brain fog. So we're going to stop all that right now. We're going to stop this circuit and create a new neural circuit. Okay? So that's what you go do. Now, so the hippocampus is reminding you, you ain't shit. It's constantly telling you, you're not that shit now. You ain't shit. So then the default mode network shows up and negative self-talk, Billy. That's what you're experiencing right now. So the default mode network is anytime you by yourself. Anytime you by yourself, you are in your default mode network. And normally what happens in default mode network, you either daydreaming, mind wandering, or self-reflecting, which is what the brain naturally needs to be doing. So the low confidence, it states it fuels repetitive negative thoughts. It's fueling it. And I'm not good enough. I always mess up. I can't spell. I can't read. I can't manage my money. It just start reminding you of everything when you washing the dishes, when you taking a shower, you making up your bed, you driving to a location, you grocery shopping. It's just reminding you you ain't shit. And then this becomes a self-fulfilling neurological loop. It's just happening. Anytime you by yourself, it's there saying, yeah, you ain't shit. You can't count. You can't read. You can't dance. You can't sing. You can't play a sport. You can't manage your money. You can't speak. You are a fool, a dummy, and all this. Yes, the everything you done wrong loop. You can't take notes and ruminate at the same time. Yes, it's impossible to do. And then finally, you have number 6, which is a neurochemical balance. So you got low dopamine. So your empowerment and reward neurotransmitter can't make you feel, it can make you feel pointless. And so your low serotonin is linked to your low mood and your pessimism, which is what you're experiencing, Billy. And together they reduce I can and the drive to do it. So now you just keep saying I can't. So you got low dopamine, low serotonin, inactive doggone prefrontal cortex with a dysregulated limbic system. You put all that together with some nice little rumination in the doggone default mode network, which your hippocampus telling you ain't shit. That's why you believe that you can't. So in short, a person believes they can't when the amygdala hijacks fear, the hippocampus replays past failure, the anterior cingulate cortex magnifies the mistakes, the default mode network runs negative self-talk, and the prefrontal cortex shuts down instead of leading with logic and planning. So now, what questions do you all have about this amazing can't neurological loop? Why is it happening? And Envy was correct. It started with Amy and Lala's ass. These doggone fraternal twins got everybody's brain in the doggone PFC chokehold. And that's the prefrontal cortex. And on this live, if you are thinking, you do an ellipse, a dot, 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 you do a thinking brain or a thinking emoji, or you say no questions, or you say clear. And then I move on to the next section. But that's what's happening. That's why you can't. It's not the isms. It's not the isms. It is not the isms. It's not. Sexism, racism, and all of, they're there. Can make the impossible possible. I'm living proof. None of that matters. You can outthink somebody with a hijacked amygdala. This makes so much sense. I didn't know the brain operated like this from a brain standpoint. No questions. Okay, cool. So that's what's happening, Billy. So keep taking notes, because it is not you, it's your brain and your inability to have the neural circuitry to get you out of these situations. And again, what I discovered is that you don't get to learn about the brain in school or anywhere else unless you're actually getting into the industry of neuroscience, neurology, psychology, or psychiatry. You don't get to know about this amazing organ that we have. And so today, TikTok switched over all this stuff. And y'all know I've been saying, ain't no brain 101, ain't no brain 101. So my morning lives on TikTok at 4 a.m. will be brain 101. So we'll be teaching the basics. The people who have been here for a minute, you can attend, but it's literally for the people on TikTok looking for manufactured dopamine hits. So I'm going to keep, so I have a graphic that says dopamine hits hit different. Got a brain looking sad scrolling on the phone, and another brain with a book, so that you can understand the difference between manufactured dopamine and natural dopamine. Because if you don't understand the difference, you're not going to learn how your brain functions. So you're not going to be able to do anything else because you don't know brain 101. I just realized when there is a delay on the live, I can click skip to live. I've been about 5 seconds behind. Yes, you can. And I realized that about 2 months ago, Envy. Yes. So you can get back caught up to where everybody else is. Okay. So now, how can make the impossible possible neurologically? Billy, I'm glad you asked. The ACC is the bouncer. It's the anterior cingulate cortex. So it is responsible for allowing that information to come from the insula and the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. So if you think about back in the day, and I haven't been to a club in so long, but there's security there. So if you ain't got the right outfit on, you ain't on the list or whatever, you don't get in. So the ACC manages conflict. Is this correct information if it's not? And so it's linked inside to the prefrontal cortex too. So when you got a weak ACC, the amygdala says, run! And the insula says, oh my God! Your heart starts beating. And the ACC say, woo, shit, go in. And now you got them negative thoughts right there in the prefrontal cortex, oozing all this cortisol, and they let it in. But when you have a strong prefrontal cortex, the ACC say, hold up, what? You can't. Where do you get that from? It starts policing the information. You can't, because it's 2025. That shit happened in 1984. And you know how much stuff you done did since then? No. Go back. And then the hippocampus, so the cortisol calms down. And then the hippocampus, instead of reminding you of your failure, because there's no cortisol, stress hormone not coming in, it says, oh, you right. So we graduated from college. We got 3 degrees. We reading a book a week and all this other stuff. And then it starts reminding you of every time you could. And that message comes to the ACC and say, hey, remember, we already got 15 things that we did extraordinarily worldwide, international, global. And then the ACC say, all right, bet. What challenge we about to do? Let me go on here and tell the big homie. And then it lets that in, and the prefrontal cortex says, what's our new challenge? Oh, we're going to learn about neuroscience. Dr. Donna, bet. What's the strategy for that? Well, we got to take a class. Well, we got to study the brain. Well, we're going to have to use ChatGPT to put our lesson plan together. And now you become very strategic. So if some dumb shit get all the way to your prefrontal cortex, you can blame your insula because you felt it. And then you ran, and the ACC said, "Whoa!" and let everything in. So let me know if I've answered your question now. It's the anterior cingulate cortex. That's why they call it the referee and the conflict monitor. Okay, so how does CAN make the impossible possible? How do you do it, Dr. Donna? Envy, I'm glad you asked. So if the amygdala is the reason why can't is there and prevalent, and it's just there and evident, then what is the reason why CAN is there? CAN is there because of the prefrontal cortex, and it is activated. And so it plans the possible. So saying I can engages the prefrontal cortex, and the prefrontal cortex is the brain CEO. And it is the command center for the brain. It's got the executive function in it. And that's where you have your working memory, your cognitive flexibility, and your inhibition control. As they used to say on Cribs, that's where the magic happens. And so the prefrontal cortex breaks big, impossible goals into smaller, doable steps. So I'm saying there are almost 6 billion adults in the world who don't know how to use their brain. I'm not saying every day I'm going to talk to 6 billion adults. Every day, see, if I don't get 6 billion adults on my live, I have failed. No, I am saying there are 4 social media platforms where I am a micro influencer. And on those 4 social media platforms, I am going to have a presence, and that presence is going to be brain information. And the objective is just plant a little neuron seed, just plant a little seed, water it, and then people start saying, hey, what's that over there? What's that plant over? Y'all see, what is that over there? And in time, people will scroll and see this and say, you know what? It's time for me to change. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. What's she talking about? And through that, every person will then understand. It will click neurologically. Damn, it is my brain. How do I use my brain again? What am I doing? And then where you are, you're going to have brain conversations with the people around you. And they're going to say, how do I use my brain again? And then everybody's going to be like, how do I use my brain? Oh, man, I got 86 billion neurons. Shit, hell yeah, I can do this. And then you're just going to create these nice little pockets of I could do this all over. And the next thing you know, you have critical mass, which is 51%. And then the rest of everybody else that didn't want to jump on the bandwagon going to jump on the bandwagon. So no, I'm not going to be talking to 6 billion people, but we going to be talking to 6 billion people. Yes. And so it happens where you are, because I'm not where you are and you're not where I am, but you are where you are. So you can have the conversations with the people around you. That's why I started saying, who did you have a brain conversation with yesterday? Because people, adults, need to know how to use the brain. Because you sitting over here, Billy, Jared, y'all like, damn, I just can't do this. I come from a long line of can't doers. No, you don't. You just come from a long line of people who didn't know how to use their brain. That's all. 86 billion neurons says can makes the impossible possible. I just got to determine how I'm going to get it done. And I have the right to adjust the strategy. That's why I say don't do anything without a strategy. Why? Because you're in your prefrontal cortex when you got a strategy. When you flying by the seat of your pants, anything's likely to happen. And if you have some success because you didn't have a strategy, you don't even know what the hell you did to make that happen. Yes, it starts with your family. Exactly. In the house that you reside in, the people who you're the people who you have immediate contact with, that's where it starts at. And if they don't want to learn, then somebody got to go. You or them. Pick a side. It don't matter. Because this is how you get to where you want to be in life. You can have all the money in your world and don't know nothing about the brain, and you still gonna feel that insulin is gonna make you feel unfulfilled. That's why people don't understand. I chase this success, I chase this money, I got the house and everything else. Why don't I feel good? Because neurologically it was ill-gotten gains. And it was Faustian bargains that you entered into, and you cheated your brain out of the experience. That's why I don't feel the same. That's why you don't feel like you earned it. And that's why I don't feel like, ooh, it should be good, because you did it with the hijacked amygdala. I'm going to show these motherfuckers, let them know. I'm about to let them all know I'm a genius. Okay, well, you started in the wrong part of your brain. And that's why I don't feel right. That's why you have people on social media put it in the fun and the sun and that. And look at my plane, look at my yacht, and look at my Clearport and all that, because where the origination of the strategy started in the wrong part of the brain. So the amygdala is ego-based. They will do it by any means necessary, tear a motherfucker down, step on top of somebody. They don't care at all costs. If it's at all costs, it's too costly. It's too costly. But if you say brick by brick, notice I ain't said nobody's name. I'm about to take I'm taking down this motherfucker and this motherfucker and this and this and that. I ain't said that. I said there is a gap, a big wide gap in neurology, in neuroscience, and it's teaching adults how to use their brain to become their best. I ain't stepping on nobody's toes because don't nobody want to do this. But when it gets done, the world will be different. So where your strategy was originated matters when you get to your goal. And if the strategy originated, originated in the amygdala, when you get to it, it ain't going to feel right. The insulin is going to be like, so we won, we took them down, we billionaire, we got millions of dollars, and look at all those casualties behind us. Why don't feel right? Why don't, I thought it was supposed to feel like, and then people get online and in person tell you, yeah, everything working out. Why are you bragging about it then? Right? If it worked out for you, let me tell you something, when you got natural dopamine and the strategy works out for you, guess what you don't have to do? You ain't got to let everybody know. Now, yesterday in the Real Leader chat, I did post that I hit 16,000 posts yesterday on Instagram. Now, the reason why I posted that is because today is Cam Makes the Impossible Possible. And there was a time when I couldn't make my own content. Of those 16,000 posts, 276 of them are OPC. That's other people's content. But I was willing to use other people's content while I figured out how to design. 2 different people making my graphics for me when I first started, and Nola was editing my videos because I couldn't do none of that. And now I can. So that's what I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating that neural loop that I can now do all these things myself from my phone. And it's 16,000 posts. I've been posting every day on Instagram from December 16, 2015 until this morning. That's about to be 10 years in. 10 toes down, 10 years in on posting on Instagram. Can makes the impossible possible. And I use that as an example because that's not what somebody bragging about. I got more posts on Instagram than Instagram followers. And it's been that way basically the whole time. That's the number that I'm proud of. Yes, because that's the number that I can control. That's what I use my brain to do, is create 16,000 posts, 12,000 YouTube videos, 18 billion views on Jiffy. Those are things that people haven't even said was a thing that you could do. Y'all didn't know that that was possible? I got vlogger numbers as far as content goes. 133 different playlists on YouTube. Ain't nobody bragging about the amount of playlists they got on YouTube. That ain't a flex. Everybody keeps talking about, I got 1 million views, I got 1 million views. I got 12,000 resources for people to learn how to use their brain. I think mic drop, if we try to say who compete, that I made myself with no team. I know what's on my doggone page. I'm always like, here go a video, here go a video, here go a video, do this, do this, do this. Because I'm showing you what's possible with your brain, with yourself, without this big ass team. My staff, I am the staff. I am the content writer, the content creator, the graphic designer, the presenter, and everybody else, the note taker, and everybody. I'm all of them. I'm all of them. So I know what's on all my social media platforms, because Cam makes the impossible possible, because I'm using my prefrontal cortex as it was designed to be used. So when I say it's a flex, it's a neurological flex. It's not this, look at my stuff. And I don't do it often. I hit it and I move on. I ain't like, yay, we're going to stay in the sprinkles. I give myself 15 seconds and I move on. And the reason why, because people are like, oh, and it's like, why I got to call you Dr. Donna? Because I didn't get to choose my name. My mother and father originally had a son. He was born and he died 10 days later. His name was Paul. So they said after he died, because they were 17 and 19 when they got married, they said, any more children we have, we're going to name them after us. So in case one of us die, we always have a Leslie and a Donna. So my sister's named Leslie after my daddy, and I'm named Donna Louise Thomas Jr. after my mama. So I didn't, and then my nickname was Dee Dee, so they wouldn't get us mixed up. So the reason why we call me Dr. Donna is because I'm not Donna Louise Thomas. That's their name that they picked for me. I got to choose my name, and so that's why. After that, I'm cool as the other side of the pillow. So to say, I'm like, see, you over here, we doing titles. Yeah, we doing titles, because I couldn't fucking read. Do you know how hard it is to get a damn doggone doctorate when you got an orthographic deficiency in your processing center for your words? So yeah, didn't nobody give me none of them degrees, none of them diplomas, and nothing else. So yeah, I worked really, 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 really hard for that. And then after that, we good. Neurologically, that's why that has to happen. And so I'm saying that to say, when somebody starts showboating and showing off their shit, it's because it was an amygdala Faustian bargain that they entered into, and now they need to feel something else. So they need to show it to a lesser group of people, so that group of people will think they're the shit because they didn't do it the right way. And that's why you see what you see. So do not feel bad. And it's the energy behind it. When someone is trying to show you something because they want to make you jealous, you can feel it. And when someone is showing you something so you can be empowered to show you that you can do it, the insula will tell you of that too. So if you're like, damn, they over there, and now you feel bad instead of empowered. That's why I don't like inspired, because inspired it's like motivation and that shit wears off. Empowerment and discipline is how you get to 16,000 Instagram posts. 11 years of reading a book. That's how that happens. So now you know, the achievements from your PFC gives you better fulfillment than operating from your amygdala. You ain't got to showboat it. You ain't got to put it online. I've done that. I did it to feel important, and then I felt good temporarily. There you go, Billy. There you go. And now you know why, because it started in the amygdala. I'm going to show these motherfuckers. No, when I got my DTM in 18 months, I had a strategy, because I knew how to get it done. So when people ask me how to do it, I'm going to tell you how to do it in 18 months. Here go the strategy. That's why I do what I do. Somebody, you starting a business, Sean will be on here in a minute. Anybody in business, I don't care if you've been in business for 30 years or 2 minutes, the E-Myth Revisited is the best business book ever fucking written. Ever written. And I ain't gonna get a dime if you go buy Michael E. Gerber's book. But that's the best business book ever written. Ever written. It is the only book that you need to read for business, because it is gonna keep, after you open your doors on your business, when shit starts falling apart, the E-Myth is what's gonna keep them damn doors open, not the rest of this other stuff. So I do everything with a strategy so that I can give you the strategy so that you can be successful. Jared put his goals up. What did Jared get in return? A ChatGPT link explaining what SMART goals are and what real leader SMART goals look like, so that now he had too many, 3 to 5 at the most, working on working on your goals, and then accomplish those goals and then accomplish new goals. That's what this is about. So if anytime you've done something and you felt nah, and then you went to go showboat, and then you made everybody say, oh my God, you're doing so good. Look at you all there. And then you walk away, the shit don't feel good because you did it in your amygdala. I have no idea who that is, and no, it is not. I will tell you no. I don't teach like anybody else. I don't know who that person is. So I have a doctorate in education and organizational leadership. I developed the 74 principles of real leadership way back in 2008. I've made the connection to the neural pathways. It's called neuropability, where you take the theory of personal accountability, combine it with the 74 principles of real leadership. You learn how to hold yourself personally accountable, use those principles to create unlimited neural pathways. I have no idea who that person is. And so I would say no, because I don't even know who they are. All of this is mine, other than the neuroscience, and that belongs to the neuroscience community. Okay, so next is to make Can makes the impossible possible is the dopamine pathways. So empowerment and reward. So the words can triggers the dopamine system, and it increases your empowerment and your expectations to success. When I sat down with Kay Collis, I said, I'm going to get this done in 18 months. I already knew I was going to get it done in 18 months. It was just a matter of me doing the work for the 18 months, because Can makes the impossible possible. So the dopamine creates a feedback loop, and each small win gives a surge that reinforces the belief in future success. So she also told me I needed to join 2 clubs in order to make that happen, because I needed to give 40 evaluated speeches in 18 months. I wasn't going to be able to do it based upon how clubs meet and how other people on the agenda. Wasn't going to be able to do it with one club. So I was already in Bon Appetit, which is an advanced club, and I needed one more club that met weekly. And so we sat down and we looked at where all the clubs are, and she said, you can't go to High Noon Lectern because they vote people in. High Noon Lectern met at noon at a Denny's, and it gave me time to go to the meeting. It was an hour meeting, and be back on my side of town to pick Nola up. I said, okay, great. I called High Noon Lectern, and I said, I'm coming for a visit. Came for a visit, got voted into the club. And between that, and because I was an area director, I would go and speak at my clubs that I was responsible for to get those 40 speeches done. And you got to do a project and all of that. So every time I spoke, I got a dopamine release. Every time I spoke, every time I did general evaluator, every time I did everything, every time I went to a contest and competed, because I got all the way to the district contest in 2 different categories for speeches, all of that was happening. Dopamine release. And so what happened was it made me go and be able to do it again because it was now don't get me wrong. It was hard as hell to get done in 18 months. It was not easy because of all of these things that you have to do, but I knew it could be done in 18 months. And challenge yourself is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And that's what I did. So neurologically, it lights up the brains and it rewards the prediction that you're going to be able to do it. So it means that the brain starts anticipating success instead of failure. So now I'm anticipating that I'm going to win. I'm going to win this contest. I'm going to get this DTM. I'm going to finish this. Oh, by the way, I chartered a club at the Urban Chamber, and the first year they got select distinguished, the second year they got presidents distinguished, and they had people in district leadership winning contests and everything else. So I wasn't just being niggardly with my talent. I was helping other business owners and leaders and organizations get their shit done too. All of that was happening simultaneously. So when I say I'm the baddest motherfucker walking the face of the planet Earth, I mean that. Next is the anterior cingulate cortex, and it's turning errors into adjustments. So when you believe you can, the ACC doesn't scream danger at every obstacle that it would when you got a weak prefrontal cortex. Instead, it treats mistakes as signals to adjust and not proof of failure. So it's not saying, see, I told you you weren't going to be able, didn't I tell you weren't going to be able to do that? It's like, oh, so go back to the strategy and that didn't work, but let's go back to the strategy and let's see what can work. And so it turns setbacks into fuel for resilience. When you have a strong prefrontal cortex, when you have a weak prefrontal cortex, it says, see, I told you. Didn't the amygdala tell you that wasn't going to happen? The hippocampus reminded you of every time that you failed. I don't know why you're trying to do this. But when you got a strong prefrontal cortex and you keep doing those small wins, that reward loop says, no, now I know what doesn't work. Let me go back and adjust the strategy so I can keep growing forward. Next is the hippocampus, and it's rewriting the story. The hippocampus recalls past experiences when the brain says, I can, and it tags those memories of past wins instead of failures. And this builds rewiring confidence and strengthens the story of possibility. So it reminds you of every time you succeeded after a failure. And it keeps reminding you every time you succeeded. Yep, you failed. I failed the third phase of Aerosol School and then I succeeded. I failed the written driver's test to get my permit and then I succeeded. I failed to get the right score on the GRE 3 times. The 4th time I passed it so I could become Dr. Donna. So, yep. Failure is not final. It's just telling you now you know that shit didn't work. Now go back and adjust the strategy to find out what does. So the amygdala regulation. You are never going to be able to do anything I'm saying with a dysregulated amygdala. It's never going to happen. As soon as shit hits the fan, you're going to go revert back to comfort. Every time. Every time. I've seen it decades in the making. Every time. And 10, 20 years ago, I didn't know that it was happening neurologically. Now I know exactly what's happening. And so fear gets quiet. I'm going to say that again. When you have a regulated emotion, that's why I begin every live with breathing. When you have a regulated emotion center, fear gets quiet. You put that motherfucker to sleep. So CAN engages the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala circuit, and it dampens fear. It's like, shh. You have a fire and you throw some water on it, shh, and then you just got a little bit of steam. If fear loses control, can you imagine that? Fear loses control. How? And courage strengthens the circuit. Courage strengthens the circuit. So you saying if I got a strong prefrontal cortex and a regulated amygdala, limbic system, emotional center, that fear is going to weaken and courage is going to strengthen. That's what I'm saying. And so instead of seeing it as a threat, the brain sees it as an opportunity. Well, look at all these opportunities I got over here. Boom, boom, boom. So I don't see 6 billion adults as a problem. Because I ask myself, do I have any other exposure to 6 billion adults? And I do on my Jiffy page. And it's 18 billion. So it's triple the amount of people that need to learn how to use their brain. And I don't know if you know how Jiffy works, but the views are based upon people looking and using your content. That's how you get a view on Jiffy. So you can't go boom, 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 look, and try to get points. That's not how that happens. And so 6 billion don't even scare me. And oh, by the way, I got 86 billion neurons with a potential of 860 trillion synaptic connections. So it's just a matter of how do I get to 6 billion people? And oh, by the way, chat and me already got a strategy in place. There you go. So how do I take the people who are following me and make that go forward? Abundance instead of scarcity. So breathing, yes, Billy, you need to download a breathing app. They have free breathing apps. And when you use that breathing app throughout the day, you are regulating your emotions. So deep breathing apps or meditation. You can find somebody on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, follow them, or you can download a breathing and meditation app. Breathing is better for you to start with. And deep breathing, 5 minutes at a time, is going to quiet throughout your day. I would say first starting out 2 to 3 times a day, because it takes 8 days to create a neural pathway and it takes 21 days to create a habit. So for you, I would say as you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, use the breathing app and do that for 21 days. And then after that, you can decrease it to 2. And then once you get past 30 days, you should be able to do it once a day. And that breathing circuit will be there, because right now you don't have the neural pathway. So neurons have to fire and wire and make a connection and release a neurotransmitter. And in order to do that, it takes at a minimum 8 days for that pathway to be created, and then 21 days for it to turn into a habit in the basal ganglia. And at that point, your brain will get notified, oh, I need to start breathing. And so the purpose is for when you're not stressed that you do it. So when stress comes, You quiet the amygdala, the fear gets quiet, the insula doesn't get tensed up, you don't start breathing, and then y'all don't send warnings. It doesn't send warnings to the ACC and now cortisol. So anytime you're stressed, cortisol gets released right here in the temporal lobe, goes to the hippocampus, reminds it of all the times that stress was happening, and then it wreaks its way up to the prefrontal cortex, causes brain fog, shuts off access to the prefrontal cortex, and then you start doing dumb shit. So that's what the breathing stops. Yes. Okay. So fear gets quiet. So you just want to quiet the fear, and you want confidence to be the courage to be, I'm sorry, not the courage. What's wrong? Yeah, courage circuits to be extremely strong. Extremely strong. Yes, it is going to strengthen the frontal lobe as well. It's called emotional regulation. So look up emotional regulation, Billy. If you don't have ChatGPT, I suggest you download it. You can get 5 free searches a day, or you can pay the $19.99 a month and get unlimited searches. Well, it's not unlimited, but it's a high ass number. I think it's like 1,000 searches a month. And so that's what you want to do. By breathing, you're going to regulate the emotions, and you're going to strengthen the prefrontal cortex, because you're not going to be releasing cortisol, which is going to weaken the brain. So both are going to happen. It's called the amygdala, the PFC amygdala circuit. Strong prefrontal cortex, regulated amygdala system, the left and right. Okay, so now you can start seeing, not as a threat, but you can start seeing everything as a growth opportunity for you. And grow continually is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Okay, so the default mode network is number 6, and the reframing. Reframing. So self-talk becomes fuel. Self-talk becomes fuel. So when you're in your default mode network by yourself, washing dishes, driving, exercising, with playing golf by yourself or whatever, give me 1 second, Billy. Okay. Believing can reshape internal dialogue. So instead of I can't loops, the default mode network runs possibility scripts. I can learn this, I can find help, I can grow. And these self-directed statements wire the brain, or rewire your identity into what's possible. So can makes the impossible possible. That's how you get to it. So the takeaway is this: can recruits the prefrontal cortex, dopamine, ACC, hippocampus, amygdala, and default mode network into one united circuit, just with that one word, can. All that's about to happen neurologically. And together, these regions shift the brain from fear and limitations to focus, courage, and possibility. That's how can literally makes the impossible possible. So, Billy, you got 2 types of dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, and manufactured dopamine comes from external stimuli. So social media, football games, social interactions, unfortunately, recreational drugs. And that is not sustainable. And that is what the amygdala is addicted to. The manufactured dopamine. Give it to me now. 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 What you are doing by breathing and strengthening the prefrontal cortex is you are creating natural dopamine. And natural dopamine comes from your own self-fulfillment, your own reward loop. So when you have a strategy, in my case, with me becoming a distinguished Toastmaster, every time I gave a speech, I got a natural release of dopamine and created that reward circus in the nucleus accumbens. Now, if every time I did that speech, if I had went on Facebook and said, see, bitches, I'm one speech closer to becoming a DTM. You could never, ever in your best life be me, would me, sleep. And say that. And now that's a manufactured dopamine release, because I want them to feel bad. Because let's say somebody say, you will never be a DTM. Under no circumstances. Your dumb ass will never be a DTM. So now I'm letting the person that said that know I'm about to be a DTM. And that would create a negative dope. That's that manufactured dopamine. Now I got everybody on Facebook. Yeah, you tell them, Doc. You tell them. Fuck them. You the shit. And it's not going to feel the same. And so then I keep creating that reward loop. And now the amygdala is getting stronger. But when I just keep my mouth closed and just say, I got that speech done, let me get the next speech done, I have a natural, quiet release of dopamine. We find out who we are and build inner self if we remove external dopamine. Yes, because your personality resides in the prefrontal cortex. So your personality is in the prefrontal cortex. It's not here. That's why fake people love staying in hijacked amygdala states, because they're too scared to go over here and find out who they really are. All right. So finally, here is the 3-step process for can makes the impossible possible. You train, step 1, you train the brain to see possibility. My boss told me that I don't know who I am. That would be true. That's an accurate statement because you have to be in your prefrontal cortex. So train the brain to see possibilities. You shift the language from I can't to I can. I can't. If you just everybody say I can't right now. Say I can't. And by now you should feel some tightness in your chest and the insula should be like, ugh, I can't. I can't. Tightness. And now say, I can't. And the tightness should release. Just two simple words. I can't. And now you say I can. Cool as the other side of the pillow. So this activates the prefrontal cortex and it pulls the brain into planning and problem solving instead of fear. Real leaders use words that wire the brain towards growth, not limitations. I told y'all word choice matters. It matters. And with Noah, we started looking up words, I think, when she was in middle school. And when you're saying these words, if you feel the insula is like, you might want to look up at the words that you were saying. And not might, you need to. Because you think you know what those words mean. And then you read those words and you go, ooh. And you see that word, then you want to go look for an antonym. Because that's going to be the opposite of that word. So you start saying the opposite of that word. And now you're going to have a different result. You're going to create a different reward loop. You're going to strengthen your prefrontal cortex because remember, the brain is hardwired for negativity bias. So most of the things that people say are negative. So you have to create a neural pathway of thinking positive, which is also one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So number one, you're going to train the brain to see possibilities. You're going to go from I can't to I can. Next, you're going to reframe setbacks as feedback. And solicit feedback is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So you treat every challenge as data, not defeat. Every challenge, every live that I get off of, whether it was 0 people on there, 5 people on there, had a good time, had a bad time, I treat that as data to get better for the next live. And the anterior cingulate cortex learns to interpret mistakes as adjustments instead of alarms. Oh, this is what I need to do. Not, ooh, that went bad. I ain't never doing that no more ever again. I'm not never. No, that's not what's happening. When you have a strong prefrontal cortex, you are merely making adjustments. And for those of you who have been here since last year, know that you've been here since the beginning. I continuously make adjustments because the objective is to get 6 billion adults using their brains. L's are, yes, are lessons. And then real leaders say, this isn't failure. It's feedback that moves me closer to possible. This is not failure because failure is not an option. It's one of the 74 principles of real leadership. This is data. This is data, not defeat. It's data. That's all it is, information. And then number 3, you reinforce it with actions and evidence. Actions and evidence. So you take one small step, then another. It's in your daily. That's the tagline. It's in your daily. Each action builds dopamine and hippocampal memory of success. And I would like to say natural dopamine instead of manufactured dopamine. And the brain wires belief through proof. So every can moment rewrites the story of yourself. And real leaders celebrate progress as evidence that the impossible is shrinking. Every speech that I made got me closer to being a DTM. Every time someone says, I'm a subscribe, I'm going to learn how to use my brain, I'm going to be different. That's getting me one step closer to 6 billion, which is getting you one step closer to everywhere you go, people are using their brains correctly. So that means every experience you have feels like this. That's the objective. So you go to the grocery store, the food is real. You go get gas and it's not $9,000. You go to the bank and it's an actual person there saying, hey, how may I help you? Everything that you do, you order something online, it looks like it did in the photo. Because everybody is using their brain. Something I've learned is it's only failure if you let it be. That is correct, Envy. That's it. So the summary is this. Dr. Donna teaches that can is not a wish. It's a neurological circuit. You said what now? It's not a wish. It's a whole neurological circuit. And when you see possibilities and you reframe setbacks and you reinforce it with action, the brain makes the impossible possible. It makes the impossible possible because of those 86 billion neurons. Okay, so let me hurriedly go to the brain regions for doing laundry. And that's what this is over here. Nice little brain doing laundry. So how many brain regions, and I'm going to just summarize at the end so we can get the questions all at the end. So how many brain regions do you believe you use when you are doing laundry? Or when someone is doing laundry, because you might have somebody else doing your laundry for you. How many brain regions are used to do laundry? Take a guess. An educated guess. How many brain regions? And if you're thinking, ellipse, brain, thinking emoji, something, confused emoji. Envy said I'd say 7 to 10. Billy says 6. Anybody else available? Before I reveal the answer, how many brain regions are you using for laundry? Okay. And Mr. Hook is correct. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And Nola. And then Envy is in there in the middle. The answer is 8. 8 brain regions to do laundry. And they are, number 1, the prefrontal cortex. You have to plan the steps, sorting, loading, adding detergent, and setting the cycle. Number 2, the basal ganglia, running the routine on autopilot once you've learned how to do laundry. The hippocampus, remembering where you put the detergent, where the settings are, and which clothes go on which settings from past experiences. Do not put bleach in colored clothes. And don't wash red clothes with white clothes in hot water, right? All your clothes going to be pink. The parietal lobe, tracking space and movement, pouring the detergent, folding the clothes, and don't keep them in 15 different baskets, and carrying the laundry basket or laundry bag to wherever you need to go to fold up your clothes. And the motor cortex and cerebellum is coordinating precise movements like folding shirts and pressing buttons, so putting buttons together if you do that. Now, the insula and the sensory cortex are number 6, so it senses textures, temperatures, and smell. Fresh laundry versus dirty laundry. If anybody's been in college, you got 5 different levels of dirty laundry. You know what I'm saying? I got another day on this. I got another 2 days on this. I got a week. Hey, anybody got $1.25 so I can get my laundry done? And that's why I went from it. Another reason why I left Michigan State to Eastern, because Eastern was closer, so I could go back home and do my laundry for free. So yeah, that part. Okay. And number 7 is the anterior cingulate cortex. It catches mistakes. Oops, forgot the fabric softener, forgot the bleach, forgot to turn the dryer on, whatever that is. And then number 8 is the amygdala, and it is linking emotions. So feeling frustrated at stains or satisfied with fresh clothes. So dang it, I can't get this out. Ooh, you get that red number 45 on something, it's done. And then the real leader takeaway, I see your point, Envy, I'm going to get to it in 1 second. The real leader takeaway is even ordinary tasks like the laundry are whole brain workouts. Real leaders notice how daily routines strengthen planning, memory, and attention skills that can transfer into leadership. So Envy says, I used to do it with my amygdala, meaning I'd stay on the floor. It would stay on the floor. Yes. So something as simple as doing the laundry is 8 different brain regions. And that's how you know and that's thousands and thousands of synaptic connections in order for all of that to happen. So your brain is this amazing organ that allows you to do so many amazing things, and people don't know how to use it. That's why I'm here. That's why we're here, because every day you leave here, you are empowered, and empower others is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So you can go and spread the brain information to the people around you so the world can actually change. So what questions, Billy, have I answered all of your questions? Do you now understand what was taking place and how you can actually begin to resolve what's taking place for you neurologically? You can put all that in there. For everyone else, the typical 3 questions. What did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And what brain conversation did you have yesterday? With saying I can we enforce an identity saying that I am the type to get things done? Yes, you are, Billy. And keep your word as one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So, Billy, here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Go to my website, theturnarounddoctor.com. Click on the 74 principles of real leadership button. It's on the homepage, and all 74 principles are there. That's number 1. Number 2 is when you are ready, you need to go subscribe on Instagram so that you can start to interact with this group of people that's here who is also using their brain on a daily basis. Because if you think you watched this, you heard me, you took notes, and you're going to be good, you are not. Your neurons are firing and wiring right now. And if you leave and go away, that whole neural connection that you feel right now is going to go away. And it's not coming back. People have tried it. It don't work. And you can leave and say I got it, and you will find that you're going to be back. because you need to be connected to the person that's connected to the thing that's saying you need to be connected to this. So what did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And what brain conversation did you have? Kevin said, fear is not final. It is not. And you can quiet it. The first time you probably ever heard you can quiet fear and you can strengthen courage by making can makes the impossible possible. So every time you prove can't wrong, you strengthen your courage circuits and you shut that fear down. It just has to be quiet. Shh, be quiet. Sit down and be humble. All right, envy. My brain conversation was with my mom talking about brains being the blueprint for computers, quite literally. Yes, that is correct. So what did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And your brain conversations that need to happen. And if you are in your default mode network and you are talking to yourself about your brain and you are saying, shut the fuck up, amygdalas, I got this. Yes. Yes. And that's a beautiful thing that you want to keep learning. I'm live every day on TikTok now at 4 a.m. Turnaround Doctor, live every day on YouTube at 5:30 a.m. and live every Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. All of these times are in Pacific Standard Time, and there is plenty of information and subscriptions available for you. Billy, how long does it take for dopamine to recover? I know it's fired from scrolling and negative thoughts. It's not a matter of dopamine recovering. It is, yes. So it is not a matter of it recovering. It's you transitioning from manufactured dopamine into a natural dopamine. And it really depends on how much manufactured dopamine you are exposed to. So let's think of it this way, Billy. If you are 30 pounds or more overweight, you are already obese. So the person that is 34 pounds overweight is going to get to their idea BMI faster than someone who is 200 pounds overweight. So I can't answer that question for you because I don't know how much manufactured dopamine you are exposed to on a daily basis. So there is a healthy amount of dopamine and it's natural dopamine. So dopamine in and of itself is not bad. It's how you're getting it. So are you a person that only needs to lose 30 pounds to get to your BMI, or are you someone who needs to lose 200 pounds? It's based upon how much manufactured dopamine you actually have. Okay, Kevin Hook, myself. I learned that can truly makes the impossible possible. Jared, I learned today that by saying I can changes the circuitry in the brain to positive. Yes, sir. Jessica says, I've learned that positivity talk in your way through items that help reset, and negative talk will turn it into positive receptors. Yes, so if you literally say, I can't, see how you feel, because the insula is telling you how you feel and it's tense, and if you start sweating and everything is notifying you I'm stressed and cortisol is about to get released into my prefrontal cortex, so let me stop and let me breathe. Calm that all the way down so that you can actually access the prefrontal cortex so you can make sense. So Jonathan H. Webster, 8 days to start to develop the pathway and 21 days for neuroplasticity to do this thing. So consistency is the key. Yes, and if you stop doing it, the neurons, even if you have a neural pathway that has been connected, if you stop doing it, the neural pathway is pruned and you don't have access to it. And that's what the term rewiring is all about, because it was wired and then you lose connectivity. So think about it this way. If you want electricity in your house, you have to pay the electrical company. In Detroit, it was Con Ed. Detroit Edison. Here is Nevada Energy. Yes. So if you don't pay your electric bill, you don't have any electricity. So that means there is no circuitry in your home. So it's the same thing. You have to keep paying the electric bill if you want to keep having electricity. So you have to keep the neural pathway strengthened if you want to keep using that neural pathway. Don't pay the bill, no electricity. Stop using that neural pathway, it's not going to wire and fire, and you will have no power, basically. Jessica said, I learned that I should not be surprised with how many parts of the brain it takes to get an item done. 8 for laundry. Yes. The brain talk was with my cousin, Nicole, who I recently reconnected with because of getting back on social media. We were talking about your lives and how the brain is an actual muscle and what we need to do to strengthen the brain. It was wild. Got it. That's awesome. And then Envy. Okay, got some more. Envy said, I learned that the ACC is like a filter, but it can filter in the amygdala keeps kicking up dust. I learned about myself that some of my hobbies aren't mine and are actually my amygdalas. Yes, and you can let them go. Like Teddy Pendergrass said, I think I better let it go. Let it go. All right. Nola said, I learned about myself. I have no doubt I can do anything. That is correct too. And I'm a witness to that. Can I get a witness? All right. Brain conversation had to have in your daily with my son. Okay, great. I wish I could have been there for that. What about in moments outside of comfort zones or outside of our skill set in the moment? We just say I can, and it reinforces confidence. That's where doubt and fear comes in the strongest. Okay, Billy, I'm gonna say this for the 15th time. Your amygdala is not happy with you sitting on this live. It's not. Okay. And so what's happening right now is it is creating doubt so you won't do what I said do. So I'm write down right now, Billy, what I'm saying do. Because Amy and Lala are getting upset. They are in Target in the toy section and they say, Mommy, I wanna, Daddy, can I have I don't know, I wanna, no, but I want it, but I want it, but I want it. And so here's what's about to happen. Okay. You are going to, number one, download a breathing app. As soon as you get off this live, you're going to download a breathing app that's free. And you're going to start breathing with that breathing app. That's step one. Step two, after you do that, if you got an Instagram account, you're going to go and subscribe on Instagram. You're going to do that. And you're going to start interacting with this same group of people over here, over there. Okay, that's all you're gonna do. And you're just gonna do that for 21 days. You're just gonna breathe. You're gonna attend these lives if you can, and you're gonna be over there on Instagram. And we're not even gonna revisit Amy and Lala until 22 days from now. That's how this has to work. Don't question anything else. Don't do anything else because you have a dysregulated emotion center. And right now you need emotional regulation. We are not going to let Amy and Lala say anything or do anything at all. Those two things need to happen today if you're serious and for real about getting full, complete use of your prefrontal cortex. Okay. Another habit. Toked it. What does that mean, Envy? Nola said, my conversation about my brain is using my skill sets for one business for another business. That is correct. So that's what has to happen because right now your limbic system is up in arms and you got cortisol coming to the frontal lobe. And now you're saying, but what about this? What about this? What about this? And you want me to make you feel comfortable right now about what I'm saying. And I'm not. That's not my job because I didn't make you feel uncomfortable. Your brain did. But I can tell you what you need to do for your brain to start getting accustomed to being discomforted and get out of your comfort zone with Amy and Lala. That's what I can say. Okay, anything else for me before we go? I believe everybody answered their brain. Jared, what was your brain conversation? Because I didn't see that, and you might have to go back to work. I believe I saw the song Think. I better let it go another. Oh, TKO. Yes, it's been TKO'd. Got it. Okay, because I was thinking TikTok, but I changed love to habit. Yes. Another habit. TKO. Oh, gotta let it go. There you go. With my coworkers. Okay. It really will change your life. That Jessica is talking to you, Billy, if you're still here. It will change your mindset, change the game. That's how this goes every single day. Your brain will never be the same. Use it or lose it. That's how this goes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very productive live. Now you understand. Every time you say can't, insula is doing this, and it's tightening and tensing up, and you're releasing that cortisol. So don't say that. Don't do that. Go ahead and say I can. 10 significant seconds of silence and just breathe. And then go ahead and have a conversation with your prefrontal cortex about what you're getting ready to do. The final thing that I do, when my can't starts showing up, I take action within 15 minutes. I got a strategy ready to go. It could be the worst strategy in the world, but I'm executing it, and then I'm going to improve the strategy. Because if you think, Sergeant Apple used to say when I was in ROTC in high school, steady long, steady wrong, every time we was taking a test. So start it, And now the amygdala and them, they don't even about it because they like, yeah, we got about 2 weeks before they start working on this shit. And they wake up 2 weeks later and you 14 days into working on a strategy. Now they're shocked. How you get, wait a minute, we lost. And that fear is quieted and quieted and quieted and quieted. So you do a brain dump. I'm scared. I'm afraid. Get your brain dump notebook out. This is going to fail. People going to laugh at me. I'm going to lose $1 gazillion. I'm going to be so embarrassed. You write all that down and you say, all right, bet. Now, how can I get this done? How can I get this done? Because I got to get it done. Because what I'm going to do, sit in the comfort cocoon, in the comfort zone with them with zip code itis? Absolutely not. That you already know that regular shit they doing. You can set your watch. I guarantee you, you ask me about anybody that from my past, I can look at my watch, look at what time of the year is, and bet you 10 cents. Because I'm not a betting person when it comes to actual cash. 10 cents, I can pretty much tell you exactly what they're going to be doing. Damn near. I'm trying to get out of the comfort cocoon. Yep. And change that trying. Get that, retype that, Jared. I'm getting out. I'm working towards getting out of my comfort cocoon. Type that differently. Not I'm trying. That trying is where the doubt is. I am working towards getting out of my comfort cocoon. It feels better because you say, I'm trying. Insula's like, we're trying. But if you say, I am working towards getting out of my comfort cocoon. I'm working towards eliminating my comfort cocoon. Now the amygdalas can't attach to it because that's not language that they're familiar with. And now the insula is saying, yeah, we could do that. ACC, we're working towards eliminating our comfort cocoon. Let the prefrontal cortex know. And next thing you know, no more comfort cocoon. Are you retyping that, Jared, before we get out of here? Because I'm not going to leave my live on trying. Because I'll start breaking out in hives. Envy, were you on that live when I said something and I broke out in hives? I forgot what it was. But literally, I broke out in hives. I am clawing my way out of a mind like I'm hatching. Okay. I am working towards getting out of my comfort cocoon. And it's got to feel different. It has to. Let's go. It's got to feel different. So going forward, anytime you feel that tension, that is the insula saying something ain't right. And so you just check the twins. Check the twins. Check the twins, because they are the problem. Lala and Amy are popping off. Anytime you just look at them, where they at? You know, if toddlers get quiet, they're in something. Go run around. If they too noisy, what y'all do? So just go over there and see what the hell they're doing and say, listen, start breathing. As soon as you just, okay, I just got to breathe. Let me just regulate these two. I'm going to just breathe. Quiet them down. Quiet that fear. And let me go ahead and strengthen my courage. And you're going to be able to do everything. Mr. Hook, what time will you be following up on that email from yesterday? Have you picked your mouth back up? And yeah, and I know you were spending time with your the missus. So what time today will I have a response from you? You got to put them back in check. You got to regulate them. Regulators mount up. Okay? That's what you got to do. Keep them regulated. You are in charge. You the PFC in charge. You the head PFC. Yes, you are. You got to get them back where they are. They're too small to be trying to cause all these problems. They're like chihuahuas. Oh, got it. Yes, sir. They always just I'm going to do nothing but just irritate you, bite at your ankles. And that's about it. So yeah, don't let them be in charge. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you all go off and have a brain-tastic day. God willing, higher power in the universe. I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, safe space, different brain t-shirt, potentially a different wig. Y'all have a brain-tastic day. Take care.